primarily with transaction coordinating and then also marketing. And then Courtney, she's our other agent, writing contracts for, we did 80 sides last year and 2 referrals, so just shy of 25 million there. So, and we're tracking pretty close to that this year. So our goal obviously is to improve every year. So definitely get there again this year. So let's see. So I've got the course divided up into kind of mind, body, and spirit sections that I believe all really impact and influence your mindset. So we have, your mind, things like your schedule and rituals and some books, number of books that I've read, and I'm happy to share those. Body, your diet, exercise, sustainability, we'll talk all about that. And then, of course, the spirit, and growth opportunities. So, all right. So my day, most days on, I'd say a good day, I'm not 100% there, but most days I'm up pretty much at 5 a.m. So actually, I'm usually up a little bit before then because at 5 a.m. my gym class starts. I go to a CrossFit gym. Always go to CrossFit, but man, I used to be on kind of I'd go to the gym when I feel like it, maybe once a week or something like that. And I had, another gym membership and it was cheaper, but about almost 2 years ago now, I joined CrossFit, and I'll tell you what, it has been life-changing there every week. I mean, it's like clockwork. I just, and part of the reason is, there's a coach, right? So you get there, and I know coaching and mentoring are relevant in your business, but it also helps, I think, in your physical life. Coach, you have a class, you've got other group accountable ahead of time. So, I'm not trying to tell you what exercise to do or what gym to join, but I am saying that important. Mainly, we know there's obviously physical benefits, but there's also mental benefits. And my wife can definitely attest that if I haven't worked out in a while, that I definitely need to go work out, go to the gym. So, because I find that it just helps me and
for this class. Gerber's premise was you should think of your business as a collection of repeatable processes and systems. He most famously uses McDonald's as the gold standard of having a systematized business. Now, obviously, that's a function of the time. There's no judgment on the healthiness of McDonald's, but we can all agree that regardless of the location, when you order a Big Mac and fries in Dallas or in California or in Paris for that matter, you get a Big Mac and fries that are exactly the same. The process of creating, for example, perfect French fries is exact, down to the millisecond of the time in the fryer and the temperature of the grease. Each micro process is executed by people who basically make minimum wage. So the key to that is creating your own set of systems such that you could then turn over the keys to your kingdom and somebody else could effectively run it for you. Now, we're always being told to stop working in your business and start working on your business. And I don't know about you, but I didn't even know what that meant. Now, Ray Kroc at McDonald's is the definition of a guy who worked on his business, not in his business. Kroc realized that his job wasn't to flip the perfect burger. It was to create a system where it didn't matter who was behind the grill or microwave. The perfect burger would be flipped each and every time. And according to Gerber, you need 3 separate people to run a successful business or a team. And I would submit that not many people teach us this in real estate school, certainly not for you new agents getting licensed. And for that matter, even experienced agents. Most trainings that are available that we go to or that we're attracted to or that we see online, it's all about getting the next deal. It's all about lead generation. But Gerber says each business needs the technician, the entrepreneur, and the manager. The technician is the one who is skilled in something that people want. For us, that's the showing of real estate, for example. The entrepreneur is the one who thinks big about the future, and the manager is the one who makes sure everything stays on track. And according to him, running a business requires the successful execution of these 3 roles. Now, working in the business, again, is being the technician, being a great realtor. So I am making the assumption, if you're not already, You're in the process of becoming great at lead generation, lead conversion, lead follow-up, showing property, pricing properties, negotiating deals and paperwork. All of that is technician stuff. And let's face it, it has to be done. So it's more than likely going to be done by you until you can or you choose to hire somebody else to do it for you. But bottom line is that's the technician stuff. That's how we get paid. Now, the entrepreneur is the role that thinks big and designs the systems. And that's what we're working on today. So kudos to you for being here today working on your business. Now, the truth is you don't need to have 3 separate people, but until you do, you are doing the 3 separate roles, or you aren't, which is why so many realtors struggle to survive as a technician. And or once they've learned how to survive in this business, they struggle to thrive and to grow, which that requires that they put on the entrepreneur and manager hats. And that's where the E-Myth Real Estate Agent book comes in. So I thought this was a great book that took the E-Myth concepts and specifically applies it to our business. It helps us technicians become great entrepreneurs and to treat our business like a business. I highly recommend this book if this topic appeals to you. And I've listened to it on Audible many times. I also have the hard copy to highlight the items. Spending time working on your business will absolutely free you up to work in your business. But I will let you know that just one caveat, even the E-Myth Real Estate Agent book, which is much more guided toward our real estate business, is still very high level. It's still very much, here's what you should do. Again, I'm going to give you these things here at the end. Okay, let's talk about why a realtor would want to have systems and checklists. Having systems and checklists in your business will yield significant advantages to both you and your clients. For your clients, people want to use an agent that they have confidence in. Your having documented checklists and systems ensures your client a consistent process. You're able to communicate to them your confidence in a system that works to their benefit. Consistent quality. Your client was most likely referred to you by someone they know, or maybe has worked with you in the past, or perhaps they're new to you, but they've had other less than awesome experiences with other agents. Your systems and checklists will ensure that they have a consistently awesome experience with you. Consistent results. When you can show your buyer clients, for example, that you have a checklist for what to do during a multiple offer situation and how your clients almost always win, and or when you can show potential seller clients that you have a marketing checklist and a system that yields quick sales at top dollar, this is exactly what your clients are looking for, and this will beholden them to you. Now, what are the advantages for you? Well, when you deliver a consistent process, quality, and results for clients, they will refer you and do business with you again, period, end of paragraph. Having these systems in place will keep you from reinventing the wheel on every deal. You'll see as we get into this, all of these tasks are almost always the same on every deal. It will absolutely free up your time to do other things, whether it be to generate more business or to spend more time off doing the things you enjoy doing. And I don't know about you, but I've gone to bed before where I was just on the edge of sleep and I had oh shoot, I completely forgot to do this task on this deal today. And then I either lose sleep over it, thinking about needing to do it first thing tomorrow, or beating myself up for not doing it, or both. So having systems and checklists in place, I promise you, will give you a sense of sanity, make it much easier to get a good night's sleep, and allow space for quality self-care as you have confidence that your clients are being met. Now, let's talk about checklist. So a checklist is defined as a list of items required, things to be done, or points to be considered and used as a reminder. A checklist should be made for each and every process of your business. There are many, including lead generation, marketing, etc. But again, for the purpose of this class, we're going to just focus on buyer, seller, and database management processes. These checklists originated as I documented each step of each process that I do and or delegate. So here's the cool part. If you're a solo agent, having these checklists to check off will keep you focused and ensure everything you want to do gets done. If you're a lead agent and you delegate tasks to an assistant, You can delegate many of these tasks to an assistant, whether it's a virtual or physical assistant, but you must first start with creating the client process you want before you can delegate it to someone else to implement. Now, this was a very difficult lesson for me to learn, and that is your assistant is only as effective as the direction you give them. Now, many agents, myself included, many times have been known to delegate before taking the time to clearly communicate the why and the how of delivering an excellent client experience, and then wonder why things didn't get done or things continue to slip through the cracks. This is what you need. This is the gold. So for each homebuyer client, here are what I would consider to be the minimum checklist you need to have. So I'm going to talk through each of these and then go into detail in a couple of them. So this is, I would recommend, and again, you'll get these slides, be thinking about, you need something specific for each one of these processes. For example, your pre-orientation checklist. This is to ensure that you are prepared for your meeting with your clients. Email them. It's a copy and paste to confirm the appointment, the items you want printed and ready to take with you. If it's a relocation buyer, perhaps your checklist will include things like taking a welcome package to where they'll be staying the night before you meet. We're going to talk about the post-orientation checklist. That's what's next. So who handles the follow-up? For example, do you set an MLS auto search? We're going to talk in detail about the showing tours checklist. This is going to be the same thing every time. This is likely something, if you've been in business for any length of time, this is very likely something you do in your sleep. But if you ever wanted to delegate this task, you would need to fully document it. Or I don't know about you, but how many times have you planned to do these things only to get super busy and forget a step or two? The clients that I show have an expectation, and I want to meet or exceed it every single time. Okay, the pre-offer checklist, here's some suggestions on that. So once your clients have found the one, you need a checklist. And it needs to start with contacting the listing agent to make sure the house is still available, usually while you're inside of it. How many times have you and your client gotten all excited and prepared an offer only to find out that the house was already under contract, but not yet reflected in MLS? I can answer that question. It's been a really long time since I've done that. Did it early on many times until I finally figured out there are better ways to spend my time and energy, and my client's emotions, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Or, for example, at least in our market, if it is available, you can determine quickly from the seller's agent what their desired closing and possession terms are, so that whatever offer you do make on behalf of your client, there's no unnecessary negotiation, since you knew to ask in advance what would most likely be desirable. Having these checklists, and most importantly, using these checklists, will save you and your clients time and make you the hero. The option to pending checklist. So in Texas, once our offer is accepted, our clients own an option period in quotation marks. This is when we get inspections, a copy of the contract to the title company, mortgage company, et cetera. There's tons of stuff going on, some things with very sensitive timelines. So we're going to go over this one in detail. The pending to close checklist is when I believe it's more important than ever to make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. Clients will remember the closing day, and everything you do to ensure a smooth process from pending to close will determine how happy they are and how likely they will be to do business with you again and refer business to you. Things on this checklist include things like sending the amendment to all parties, following up with the selling agent to make sure repairs were completed, or sending received receipts to your clients, or to scheduling the walkthrough and ordering the post-closing gift. And then the post-close checklist, you'll see in my communication plan when we get there, I email my clients, for example, the night of closing with I'm going to go through withdrawal from you email. There's an email I send out a week later that asks them to do online reviews. This checklist also details what I want done with my file. It's all scanned into one PDF and emailed to my online storage for easy access. And a copy of the CD is made, and an envelope is addressed for me to easily mail to my clients on January 1st. So that's some high level things. Those are the checklists that you'll definitely want to have for your home buyers. Now I'm going to go into a couple of these in detail. So for example, what you're seeing here and what you'll be getting after this is all over is really the evolution of my checklist process. It started off literally as Word documents, And then I upgraded some to Excel spreadsheets or to, where I could click boxes. And I had physical paper, the binders, the notebooks, and I would have checklists. And as I would check off one checklist, then that's how I would go to the next one. Today, and I'll touch on this briefly toward the end, I use Trello for all of these tasks. But bottom line is you've got to start somewhere, and the somewhere you start with is something along these lines. So for example, on the buyer showing tour checklist that you'll see, this is literally what I do every time I have houses to show. And I've been told, especially with clients who have experienced viewing homes with other agents in the past, or for that matter in the present, no one shows up as prepared as I do. Now, this further enhances their experience and differentiates me as more than just a key caddy. Anybody can open the door, but really a true source, a true resource of trusted information. Now, this level of detail ensures consistency, and it's something that you absolutely could delegate if you had this detailed for your assistant. So first thing, you want to get a list of the homes the clients want to see. Sometimes it comes via email or text, or they mark it in their portal. And of course, this is referencing a time period where maybe you had six or eight houses to show on any given time, as opposed to maybe the one or two. But regardless, whether it's one or seven or however many, the first thing I do, and this is my process, I search by the address, then I'm going to print the Agent 360 listing, which we have matrix, which includes a full printout, all the tax information, all the history. I staple it together by property. Once they're all printed, then I'm going to go back and do a search by MLS and print with directions. That's going to enable me to route efficiently relative to start or stop. I used to try to make it, meet at a Starbucks, everybody load up, we'd circle around back. Of course, now in the world of COVID, I haven't had people in my car in a while, but especially because of that, it's now more than ever. I know that it's an overused phrase, but now more than ever, very important to be efficient with our time and our communication. Then I'm going to schedule the showings with enough time to view the home and time in between. I'll note showing information on the front page of each listing. Now I'm also going to do a quick CMA for each home. And to easily determine whether this price is reasonable. This is not a full-on market analysis. I know sometimes people hear CMA and they think I'm spending, an hour on each house I'm showing. That is not the case at all. We have the capacity within our MLS, and I sure hope for your sake you do too, a way to just do a quick snapshot of, for example, the subdivision. And the key to that for me is just to be able to easily determine whether the price the sellers are asking is reasonable, where this particular home stacks up relative to its neighbors. For example, is this the biggest house in the neighborhood? Is this the smallest house in the neighborhood? And it also may show some options that, for example, the client didn't say, hey, I want to see this, but they may want to see. For example, let's just say that there was a new listing that, they wanted you to set up 123 Main Street. Well, then come to find out, I did the quick CMA. Oh, look, there's another one at 125 Main Street that just came on the market that might meet their needs as well. So this avoids that last minute, hey, while we're in the neighborhood, can we see this one too? And again, it brings value to your client. Then I want to staple the agent report and the quick CMA. We're going to align that in the order to be shown. Now I hang on to this package. Tell my clients I have this level of information for each home we'll see today, but if they aren't interested in the house, it doesn't matter. If they are interested in the house, I give it to them to review. Okay, then I'm going to print the full report in order of viewing for each person. I'm going to staple it together. I also give this to the kiddos. Now, it's very probable that one person in your group is the note taker and nobody else is, but I like everybody to have their own set. And then I put all these reports in a map and a pen and a folder for each client. This is great for the SCs in the mix. I talk a little bit about the disc profile. Again, that's not something we're going to delve in too deeply here in this particular hour, but if you haven't had the opportunity to do so already, I highly recommend that you engage in some level of disc profiling of your clients, because again, the better you know them, the better you're able to serve them, and the better able you can customize these systems to them. So I have a copy, customize, paste email where we're going to confirm the date, time, and location to meet via text and email. And then on the day of the showings, I'm going to text or email the listing agent of each listing to verify the availability and or to determine if there are any working offers or offer deadlines, because we definitely don't want to waste time in houses that are either already under contract or need to act swiftly if there are other offers and a deadline in hand. And we can't assume, as you probably know already, that just because we have a confirmed showing time that the house is available, at least not in our market. It's not unusual. This just happened this week, where in the process of setting the appointment and meeting the client there, the status changed to active option. Tons of fun. So even when we do reach out, there's still things that fall through the cracks, but you have a much greater chance of making sure that doesn't happen. So every once in a while, when I agree to a speedy showing, I may or may not have all of this information together, but if given any notice at all, I love to have all of this information with me. Okay, so just now, hopefully I haven't put y'all to sleep just yet, but just show of hands or in the chat box, if you are a buyer's agent, if you are a showing agent, do you see how having this checklist for each showing tour could benefit you and or your clients? Any surprises, anything, any ahas from just looking at this checklist about something you could do in your business to bring more value to your clients? Awesome. Well, I'm glad. Okay. The next one we're going to talk about is the option through pending. Now, you'll recognize a lot of these activities on this checklist as things you may do automatically, but if you don't have a checklist and something gets missed, it can be a heck of a time to get things worked out, especially things that are timelines. Here are some of the things we do during our process from contract execution through the inspection option period. We are going to verify the execution date is on the contract. Many times that gets missed, believe it or not. And again, it's difficult to unwind if you get too far. We literally used to make a complete physical binder, but now we have a Trello file. We still do some paper, and I'm all about whatever works for you. We create a critical dates letter and email it along with a copy of the executed contract. Again, we used to physically mail this to people, so whatever works best for you. And it also is a function of knowing your clients, if they're older or more, if they're the attorneys or the engineers or pilots. They definitely would like probably to have some paper copies. Someone asked if I have these checklists available. Yes, they are. So at the end of this or at any point in time, email me, Nicole@NicoleSmith.net. I'll put it here in the chat box. And I have a system of how to get this information to you. So please do that, especially if you're on the mobile app as well. Okay, so the goal is for each of these boxes to be checked during the option period and before we move on to the pending to close checklist, where lots of fun things happen behind the scenes to make sure the closing goes smoothly. So now we're going to jump into the home sellers checklists. The pre-listing appointment checklist goes into action as soon as I get a listing opportunity. So we'll go over this one in detail on the next slide. The post-listing appointment checklist is all of the things I said I would do during the listing appointment, and follow-up is key. So if, for example, if I leave there with a commitment in hand, my follow-up email is going to be confirming photography and staging. If they didn't commit with me, I'm going to make up something. Maybe I told them I would get more information on their neighbor, or I would do this, or I would do that. And however you slice it, this is an opportunity for me to demonstrate how I do what I say that I will do. And I have a system for that. So I'll show you that here when we get to it. Okay, once I have a commitment for the listing, I have a pre-active checklist, which includes sending documents for signatures via zip forms, scheduling staging, the photography, writing the romance, ordering the domain for the home's website, and a writer with the domain on it, everything necessary to make the listing live on MLS. The new listing checklist begins as soon as that house goes live in MLS. It includes emailing the link to the sellers, the emailed copy of everything they've signed, getting documents into SkySlope, etc. The marketing checklist is a step-by-step what we do with all the photos, all of the marketing portals, the ordering the brochures, activating the property website. So again, these checklists are internal at this point. Like, I don't share these with my clients, but I could. And certainly I'm going to share some of these with you. The option to pending to close, and post-close checklists are very similar to the buyer ones, but with a few caveats relative to the seller's next residence. I do a lot of, because my business is repeat and referral, I do a lot of buying and selling locally. So if they stay local, then that's one checklist. If they leave town, then that's another one. Okay, so let's talk about the seller pre-listing appointment checklist. And this is a checklist that is initiated as soon as I have a listing opportunity. So if I get off the phone, or if I get a text, or if I've got an online inquiry, then I will forward that to my assistant, the information with the appointment, and she runs with it. And it literally is the same thing every time. And again, this used to be a paper checklist that would be used for our system. So she would create a zip form package using our seller template. So again, from a systems perspective, if you don't already have in your contract software, which I use zip forms, if you don't already have templates for buyers and sellers, stop what you're doing and make them. That will save you hours of your life. And it's ideal too, because we know the same forms you're going to need for every deal. And so if you have your templates already built with your wiring and fraud, the wire fraud, the EXP affiliate relationship, all these documents that are EXP related that compliance may say like, hey, where's this document? Put that in a template. Okay. We also have a certain way we name the files, finding all transactions easy. I have a pre-listing package, physical and digital, that includes what I call a Y. Nicole Smith Woodard EXP book, which is, and also have a hard copy of these forms, letter when meeting, which is customized for the date and time, and a cloud CMA for their entire subdivision, 20 houses or less. And just side note on that, again, I can't give them a price prior to seeing the property, but I show up to the listing appointment with a complete set of data points to show them, to demonstrate to them that here's the data, we're going to work through this together. So the cloud CMA is really just, this is information they probably think they already know, but I always like to get in their hands. It's always funny when you show up to the listing appointment and they see what their neighbor's house sold for, and they're like, hey, that is not what they told me, right? So I try to get all that information in advance. And most of the time, if there's time, this package is physical and it's either delivered or FedEx to the sellers. And if there isn't enough time, and sometimes we do this both and anyway, we'll send it digitally. And the goal is to set the stage in advance that I know what I'm doing. I've done this a zillion times before, and they're going to be in excellent hands should they choose me, which I'm assuming that they will. And how I do anything is how I do everything. And I set the stage from the beginning for a consistent, awesome experience. Generally speaking, when I arrive at the house, I ask them if they've had a chance to review the information I sent. 50-50 chance they'll say yes, and or whether or not they have any questions. And we do a quick tour of the house while building rapport. I'm taking notes. And I start my presentation in quotation marks by getting clear on their goals and motivation. And then we jump right into my pricing presentation and how I will market their home to sell for top dollar in the quickest amount of time to meet their goals. In addition to the pre-listing package, I also prepare the CMA. Now, these are all the forms that are printed for all of my pricing presentations on this particular list, but everything except for the actual CMA can be done by somebody else. But my CMA itself is the one I've been doing it this way for 20 plus years, and I can absolutely delegate parts of it, and I have, but it is a combination of science and intuition, and it's a critical activity that I need my hands on. So that's pre-listing. Now, we'll go through this quickly, but the seller close file checklist, I'm sure you're understanding now how and why these checklists can be so important if your goal is to streamline your business and not reinvent the wheel for every deal. So just a couple of things I'll point out on this checklist that may be helpful to you. You want to confirm it's closed out in MLS. At this point, obviously it should be, but every once in a while this step gets missed. Confirm Zillow sale, love and hate them. I also send a thank you email to clients requesting online reviews. This is a copy and paste email with links to all the various sites. Also have a physical copy of the CD and address the envelope. So what I do in January is just add a letter and send them out. So it's all ready to roll. I also want to make sure the survey is in the file. This is an extra step really for our process that I have discovered is critical. This is one of the things that I get asked about most from my clients, and I always want to be that resource for them, is people can reuse surveys in Texas, whether they're going to refinance it or sell it or put in a pool or what have you. So it's, or replace the fence or whatever. So This is not typically part of a closing package, but I know that this is of value. So when they reach out to me and say, hey, do you happen to have a copy of my survey? Heck yes, I do. And here you go. So that's part of my closeout process. I also update my CRM with their new address. And if they're staying local, there are procedures for them as buyers to make sure I have their birth dates and their house anniversary. And then I add their full report to the annual CMA book, which I've just evolved into a Google sheet with my assistant. I literally went from having physical notebooks with printouts of each house I have sold into a Google sheet. So bear with me, I'm still evolving. A little bit old school, but a little bit of evolution as well. But if they're leaving the year, for example, we need to delete the dates from that CRM and also remove them from my mailing list, as well as remove the full report from the annual CMA book, assuming it was there as a past client. And then the last thing we do prior to closing out the file is to send all the documents in it to my online storage place, which is basically a Gmail account that I only use for closed files. So that is the closed file checklist. Okay, the next set of checklists you'll want to have is for your database. Now, I really do work my database, as many repeat and referral agents do. And as we discussed, this is not a class about this. There are some great classes offered here at EXP. And if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to first and foremost make a commitment to take great care of your clients after the transaction. And if you need any ideas, there's lots of classes on this. And Elizabeth Riley teaches one that's probably one of my favorites, and I try to plug into that every so often just because she has such great ideas. But for the purpose of this class, there are lots of checklists to ensure consistency, which absolutely yields repeat and referral business. So my CRM is a system that I use. I actually use Realty Juggler. I've also used Excel spreadsheets, and I've used Google Sheets, and I've used Top Producer. And so don't overcomplicate this. Whatever one you use is the best thing for you to use. January mailing, I do an annual CMA for all of my database. This process is systematized, and clients tell me they save these documents in their house files and refer to them regularly. And again, at the end of this, the links that I'm going to send you is a bonus training on how to do this for your clients from start to finish. You don't have to wait until January, but this is the perfect time of year to get everything set up so that when January comes, you can get this started for your database as well. Now, the letter of the heart, I send that monthly. And it's triggered by the delivery of the statistics on my MLS, and there's an entire process. Side note, I have not mailed something since 2000. And what I have discovered, and you may or may not find this true in your own business, but I encourage you, that physical, tangible, in their mailbox something, and I'm not necessarily just talking about postcards, but something for them to touch and see month in, month out, is a trust factor. So I've had people tell me, like, they know they can trust that every month they're going to hear from me, and it's a value add. My whole business is based on the Brian Buffini build relationships model. I don't send what he sends, although I think it's great. It's something. They have to open the envelope, even if they touch it and throw it away. So for whatever it is, 57 cents plus whatever it is, this is by far, hands down, the biggest bang for the buck in all that I do to love on my clients. So I do a letter of the heart monthly. I also do a market update video monthly. So every step is documented and executed in order, from the preparation of the infographic to the gathering of the data to the recording of the video and the distribution of the video on YouTube and Facebook and all that fun stuff. And so on. If there is anything you do or want to do consistently for your database, then create a checklist. So that's what we have. All right, now we're going to switch gears and talk about communication systems. So thank y'all for bearing with me. I cram a lot of information into this one hour. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. Got a little ahead of myself. Okay. So, utilizing my checklist, I created a series of email communications that serve a multitude of purposes. And yes, you're going to have access to these. You're going to have access to the actual Google Sheets where you can copy, customize, paste for your own clients. But for the clients, and the reason I did this is there's a lot going on in their world during this transaction, and they either don't listen or they forget, or sometimes both when you're telling them things like what to expect or what's going to happen next or what they just signed. It's noted that most people retain less than half of what they hear less than 1 hour later. So think about it. You say something, they hear it. They may or may not remember it in an hour, and some of these things are important. Now, others aren't necessarily as important, but regardless, you want to help your client have the best experience they can working with you. Emailing them gives them a reference document so they don't have to ask you the same things over and over. And for you, have you noticed that you say in email virtually the same things all day, every day? And how, if you had a copy paste option, wouldn't it make your life so easy? Well, this communication system will keep you from reinventing the wheel with every client at every step of the way while delivering a high quality service with a personal touch. Now, each of your clients is different. We talked about the DISC profile. Your high Ds will appreciate the emails. They're direct and informative. Your high Is will appreciate the personal touch. Your high S's will appreciate your letting them know what to expect so there's no surprises, and the consistency of your communication will help feel them connected with you. And your high C's will appreciate the details and the ability to review documents before signing them, since so many of the things we do now are just tap, tap, tap on your phone. Your success is directly related to your client's perceived experience and whether they will tell others about their experience. It doesn't matter how good you are at making everything happen behind the scenes to get them to the finish line. A lot happens from time an offer is accepted until it closes, and it is not always easy. Even though you are working hard, remember there's a lot of dead time for the client between pending and closing specifically, and they don't know you're working on it every day unless you tell them. And they need to feel like they always know what's happening, and also recognize how hard you and your team are working to make this transaction as smooth as possible. They want to know you have everything under control, and in my opinion, most agents don't communicate this often enough. The more personal touches you have in your system, the better the experience will be for your client. And the better your client's experience, the more likely they will refer you and use you again. And the more systematized your personal touches are, the easier it is for you to deliver consistent quality and live a wonderful life. This seller communication system, what you're seeing here is, and again, this has evolved, but this is something you're going to see. You'll get the link to this. But another key to your client's experience is to set expectations in advance so that you want to let them know what to expect at each step of the process. We take for granted, since we do this all day, every day, that our clients know and understand the process. But even those who have bought and sold numerous times can still be surprised during a transaction. Things change, forms change, rules change. So setting the expectation requires communication and execution. As you can see, the seller communication system is something you should do every time with every client. These emails that you're going to see and have access to will answer questions, sometimes before they're asked. And if a client asks a question, maybe it's out of order because they don't know your system, you have a quick and easy copy paste response ready to roll, and enables you to demonstrate confidence in your own process. And by following this system and emailing the items, you can rest assured that nothing slips through the cracks. So here are some examples. So that after meeting with a prospective seller, I referenced this in the checklist, but this email is always sent immediately after meeting with a potential seller, and I almost always leave there with an assignment like we talked about. So if they've committed, I'm going to follow up with the stager and the photography. If they haven't, it gives me an opportunity to prove to them that I'll do what I say I'll do. Now, I blind copy my assistant on this. This is something she can either do for me if she can, or make sure that it gets done. So that's a system. The text with the listing agreement. So this is something, I don't know about y'all, but now that we do everything digitally, I used to literally, part of my process, part of my presentation was to go through the listing agreement and explain in my own words and kind of feature benefit why these things were important to them and highlighted the key points that I wanted them to remember. But especially now that everybody does digital, giving them this reference tool to refer back to has resulted in very few, hey, what about this questions. You'll also see the highlights on that one. This is a trigger to either customize this to them or to attach something to the email. So that is part of our system. Now this you'll see on the buyer communication, very similar. You'll see how the early communication points are things that I've already told them or will tell them in person, but are things I want to make sure to reiterate. For example, that I'm there for them. I'm their resource for MLS listings, for sell by owners, new construction. If no homes exist, we can even create options by doing mail and email campaigns into a community. But these are things I'm telling them. So these emails that they're going to be receiving is likely not the first time that they've heard this, but it will reinforce if they have, and or it might be the first time they heard it. But I will send them the forms they'll be signing in advance. And again, since most of what we do is digital, especially your high Cs are going to want to review these in advance. So again, this is very similar to your sellers. Now here's some example on the buyer communication. Following up on the first email, I'll blind copy my assistant who knows how to set up the auto search feature, for example. Now, if you don't have an assistant doing this for you, it's okay because it's still a reminder for you to get it done. And it, especially if you're, for example, running from one meeting to the next, you very likely could forget the details. So this absolutely helps minimize details from slipping through the cracks. The what to inspect at the inspection, it's going to let them know, for example, in advance, I will not be attending. They're in good hands with their inspector. We'll get the report within 24 hours. Once the report is in, we'll go over it together, etc. Again, all these are all things we've talked about. These are all things we know or that I know, but I found that by them knowing it too, it minimizes their stress as much as possible given this very stressful time. Now, this is the real deal today. So what you've seen up to this point has been an evolution of a process. And this is the new thing. This is what I'm using now, real time. So having the communication accessible is one thing, but using it consistently is quite another. So I do have a virtual assistant in the Philippines, and she, together, we have buyer templates and seller templates. These are all, this is a company called Trello, Trello.com. There is a free version, but each of these little tabs is a task. And I've gone so far as, even because now I have an assistant in the Philippines, I have done a training video on each and every one of these tabs. So if she ever has any questions about what this is or where to find this, I've got this all systematized. This is high tech. It's also high touch, and it works. And when I first began using checklists and systems, so don't, do whatever works for you. Some people, this would be like right up your alley and you're like, sign me up. How do I do this? Other people need that paper copy, whatever it is. Don't let technology slow you down. If it makes the process more efficient for you, then do it. Let's see, whatever it is you do, you should do. Okay, somebody asked, will I share my Trello boards? So I don't fully know how Trello works. I do know that there could be a way to share a Trello board. And if you know more about Trello than I do, email me, nicole@nicolesmith.dev. I'm going to type this in here so that I can, I would be happy to do that. My biggest fear about sharing this stuff is somebody altering my stuff and that I don't have my stuff anymore. So I'm a little bit, I'm happy to share it all. I want you to run with it. I want you to prosper and all that fun stuff. I just don't want anybody to change it. And I don't know how to work that with Trello. So you and I talk offline. Bottom line is though, whatever you do is you should do. So we're to that point in the training, and y'all, I feel like I have just thrown a lot at you, and I'm hoping that you're able to get some good stuff from there. But bottom line is, having checklists and systems benefits your clients by ensuring a consistent process, a consistent quality and consistent results, and it benefits you by delivering referrals and repeat business, time for other things, and a wonderful life with sanity, sleep, and self-care. Okay, I'm going to be putting some links in the chat box, but before I do, the first one I want to do, get back, is I want to do this survey link. So if you would honor me with just a minute, if I can, oh, there we go, thank you. Did somebody else put that up for me on the survey? There should be a link to it, and I'm here to answer any questions. I know I have that somewhere, so I'll pull that up and I will put that in the chat box. And here to answer any questions. Okay, normally in the past, I have started just throwing these links into the chat box, and I will start with one of them, and that is these particular the links to the slides. So I'm going to start with that. What I've discovered, though, is because people are moving so quickly during all this process that it's hard to catch in the chat box. So if you will email me at nicole@nicolesmith.net, then I will send every one of these to you. So that's my email address. If you'll send that, and see if I can get that survey put up there for you. So I just appreciate so much y'all taking the time to be here today, and again, to invest in your business. I'm hoping that is the right survey. If someone can verify, that would be great. Yes. Okay. Oh, thank you, Chad, for putting up the slide deck. So that's already there, and the survey as well. So yes, do that. Okay, great. Any specific questions on any of the let's see for sure. Okay, excellent. Yes. So Jess from Southern California, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to work with you on sharing those Trello boards. And I do have those checklists available. And Nicole, I follow you on Instagram, so thank you for being here today. I'm honored. Definitely have the slide decks. Yes.
Because I know everything is automated, I'm sure you're using some kind of third-party service for like sending different things to your client. Can you share any of that? I'm just thinking that that's what you do with all your systems and everything. Like excuse me, any of the closing gifts or monthly gifts, or like they'd be talking about, I hear them talk about pop buys and things of that nature. Do you have any third-party vendors that you use for those kind of services?
I do. Well, first of all, that's a great question. So anything and everything that you can automate is a place to start. And I want to just really drive that point home. Anything that you can automate is a place to start. So the one thing that I do automate, I use Reminder Media, which if you're familiar with if you've seen any American Lifestyle magazines and things like that. So I have my top 100 that gets magazines from me every other month. And then they also have an add-on email set that does every 2 weeks, it's set up to email my entire database. And so the Reminder Media, that's about $60 a month to do the email part. And then the magazines, I think, are about $4 a piece, but really, really high quality. So that is baseline, but that is not customized. Another thing that I do is viral marketing, VYRAL, viral marketing, and I do 2 videos a month. And I really got excited about video a couple of years ago and did a lot on social media, but I just wasn't consistent because, we get busy selling houses, and then I stopped marketing. And so viral marketing has been very helpful. I'm going to put that in the chat box. Viral marketing has been very helpful just to keep me focused. 2 a month doesn't sound like much until you get busy. And so that is an automatic, that is an auto. But everything that I've shown you here, everything that I'm going to send you when you email me at nicole@nicolesmith.net, this is all high touch, high tech. I did have somebody who took the class and they had their virtual assistant reach out to me and said, okay, how can we automate this? You really can't automate this because every single deal, every single timeline, every single circumstance is different. So what you're going to see when you click through these Google Sheets is you're going to have to attach that contract. You're going to have to fill in that date and time. You're going to have to fill in this address, and you're going to have to email it to those people. And so this system that you're going to have access to is what I call copy, paste, customize, copy, paste, email. So it's still a process, but having this system, having these task boards on this Trello, even if it's a paper checklist that you physically check a box before you go on to the next checklist, the things will get done. You said, how long did it take you to set up or even learn these systems? Okay, I am not joking when I say I have been working on these ever since I got into this business in 1996. I kept thinking there's got to be a way. But about 4 years ago, I got really serious and I hired a consultant and you'll see evidence of some of this in my early evolution, who helped me track all of these things. And then I've just taken that up a notch this summer when I hired a virtual assistant in the Philippines. And the key, again, to delegating these tasks is you, the team lead, or you, the designer of this, creating these environments and these processes to create the experience that you want your clients to have. So what I'm going to give you will literally give you about a 25-year head start on where I am today. And my hope for you is that you'll take this as the foundation. You'll take what works and disregard the rest, and just really, use this as a springboard, either to inspire you to create your own, or have just make a few minor changes. If this, I'm a big believer in, we're all individual, unique creatures, and so we all speak with our certain voice. I've been saying these same things the same way for a long, long time, and it works for me. But this isn't going to align with everybody, with all of you. So I encourage you, just again, take what brings you value, disregard the rest, and then just use this as best you can to bring tremendous value. The more value you bring to your clients, the more value you're bringing to this world, the more value that you're bringing to EXP and to the legacy that you get to leave. And so many of these touch points throughout this system that I've created and enhanced. First of all, none of this, you probably have heard a lot of the different training classes, the R&D, the rip off and deploy kind of thing. None of this stuff is rocket science. None of it is proprietary. None of this is secret. It's just I've put it all together in this format that works very well for me, works very well for my clients, and lends itself to having a 100% repeat and referral business. So if that is something that resonates with you, then you got to start somewhere. And if you don't already have systems, here's a great place to start. If you do have systems, and I know there's a lot of different people out there that sell at a very, very high price systems, it's worth it. Like whatever works for you. If you can shortcut the process that it took, at least in my case, from point A to point B, then I think you're well on your way. So I get a little passionate about systems and about taking good care of clients, and I hope you do too. So
hi, Nicole. This is James. I'm on the mobile app, so I
yes.
don't have the links and stuff. Is there any way for us to on the mobile app to get a copy of the system or checklist and stuff?
Absolutely, and I appreciate you asking, James. Email me at nicole@nicolesmith.net, and I'll spell that. It's Nicole, Nicole, at nicolesmith.net, and just put, systems class or just something in the subject line, and then I have a system where I will then reply back to you with all of these links. And that bonus training on the annual CMA, which it's the perfect time as you're doing your marketing plan for 2022 to start getting some of this foundational stuff, some of this infrastructure in place. So if you don't already have a systematized, for example, database management process or system or what you want to do, this is just the perfect time to launch into that. So yes, Nicole@nicolesmith.net. If you'll shoot me an email, then I will be happy to respond and get all this information in your hands. So y'all, I'm going to honor your time today. And I just want to thank you for taking your time to grow in your business and to become a better agent, become a better provider of service, and hopefully this will pay off in big ways for you. So thank you so much for joining me. And as always, if you have any questions, just let me know. Nicole@nicolesmith.net, or find me on Workplace Chat. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.